I sang with Mary Travers and Uncle Paul Stuckey at the March on Washington in 1963, where Dr. Martin Luther King delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech. Can you raise your hands if you could hear me and understand me? Thank you. We are now standing not far away from where that event took place. And one of the songs we sang, and we're just going to do a little bit of it so you can remember what it was. And you could say, oh, I know who Peter, Paul, and Mary were. Beyond singing Puff the Magic Dragon, you may remember this. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. Okay, you get it. That's enough. Okay, now we're going to do a song for today. And this is an old Union song. We shall not be moved.
We shall not be moved.
Just like a tree that's standing by the water.
We shall not be moved.
We shall not
be moved.
We shall not
be moved.
Just like a tree
that's standing by the water.
We
shall not be moved.
We're marching for our children.
We shall not be moved.
We're marching for our children. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. And we're standing here for justice.
We shall not be moved.
We're standing here for justice.
We shall not be moved.
Just like a tree that's standing by the water.
We shall not be moved.
No more AR-15s.
We shall not be moved.
No more
AR-15s. We shall not be moved.
Just like a tree that's standing by the
water. We shall not be moved.
No more hiding in the closets.
We shall not be moved.
No more hiding in the closets.
We shall not be moved.
Just like a tree
that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
We shall not be
We shall not be moved.
Let's hear you.
We shall not be moved.
Just like a tree that's standing by the water.
We shall not be moved.
No more texting in no. Oh my goodness. Okay. No crying. No texting, I love you, mother. We shall not be moved. No texting, I love you, mother.
We shall not be moved.
Just like a tree
that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
We're marching for survival.
We shall not be moved.
We're marching for survival.
We shall not be moved.
Just like a tree
that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved.
We're marching. We're singing for survival. We shall not be moved. We're singing for survival. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water. We
shall not be moved.
We're singing for the fallen.
We shall not be moved. We're singing for the fallen. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved. We will end on violence. We shall not be moved. And we will end on violence. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved.
And I tell you now, we're grieving for the classmates.
We shall not be moved.
Yes, we are grieving for the classmates.
We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved.
We shall not be, we shall not be moved. We shall
not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved.
We're no more burying our children.
We shall not be moved.
No more burying our children.
We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved.
We shall not be moved. We shall not.
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved.
We're marching for a moral America. We shall not be moved. We're marching for a moral America.
We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved.
We shall not be.
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved. We shall not be.
We shall not be moved.
Oh, I'm looking for a kid. I need one more kid. I need another kid. Come on, one more. I need one more. One more. Come on. You got
Where's Jenny?
Jenny?
Jenny! Hurry up!
Yes.
Jenny and Jamie. Jamie. Jaime, come here. Sigue a Jenny.
Going up? I'm not in your way, right?
1 2 1 2.
Everybody ready to end gun violence? Come on, let
me hear it, let me hear it. So we just got a couple of the youth. We got Selah here from St. Sabina. Some of the youth that are going to help kind of put that out in the atmosphere to be able to help bring some glory to the land. Amen? Amen, amen. So we're just going to go ahead and hit this.
You know we're going to represent Chicago. You already know. Where's Chicago at? We up in here deep as we supposed to be. Hey, don't forget the focus, man. Like all these young faces that you see on the side, man, that's what I'm here for. You know what I mean? All these pictures that I see, man, you know, we losing too many. You know, and so just a small part of that is passing gun legislation.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory.
And I just wanna live. My state is military, kids killing kids. Ain't got no time to play, I'm in a war zone. Ain't no such thing now as home sweet home. They're looking at my city, they call it Chirac. Instead of backpassing, watching the back in the gap. In fact, institutionalized slavery is a penitentiary. Set out to just you and me. History repeats itself. Resurrection of the panther, the hand I'm dealt. Robin Hood and the lure to increase our wealth. Politicians telling lies to decrease our health. Violence equals money. Jobs intact. NRA, yeah, the ATF. F the American dream. I dream for my kids, I'm not to die for the present, so the future can live glory.
We will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Say glory, glory. Oh, glory. Sing glory, glory. The world is over. Victory isn't won. Louis right on to the finish. Then it's all done. We cry glory, glory. We cry glory, glory. Glory. We cry glory. We cry glory.
Put your fist in the sky. Put your fist in the sky.
We cry glory.
The Most High. Hear me now, I am the voice of war. I ain't in the wilderness. I have a dream about this society that's missed the propriety of love. My people hear the cry of a young blood. They say King's dream is dead. I say great dreams die only to be resurrected. On the third day, peep the prophecy. They say my generations will pour casualties, but we are not, because we got hip-hop to rock the nation with our communication now. There is no other storm ever to been formed to bring about unity. University word is born. African, Indian, Mexican, Caucasian, Asian, Chinese, policemen, easily, musically. If you take it out, then you see that the world just to bring life more abundantly. Glory. Put your fist in the sky.
It will be ours. It will be ours. One day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory.
Father, we come to you.
Come on, say.
To reign in the upside. Father, we scream for glory. Chicago. And every whole world while we scream. Father, let us see earth as it is in heaven. God, rain your glory down.
Give it up for the St. Sabina's Youth Choir. And now, to welcome you all of us, to this rally against gun violence, the pastor of St. Sabina's Faith Community, Michael Flagger.
Somebody shout, end gun violence! End gun violence! End gun violence! End gun violence! Why are we here? According to the Gun Violence Archives, there have been 297 mass shootings in America since January 1st, 2019. In Chicago, we've had 353 people killed, 1,715 people wounded since January 1st. Just yesterday in Chicago on Tuesday, 16 people shot and 4 of them killed. As Captain Mark Kelly said, how do we get to the point where 85% of the children in the world that are killed with guns are killed in the United States of America? Some ignorant legislators say gun safety legislation won't work. Look at Chicago. They have strong gun laws. But as long as we can drive 15 minutes to Indiana and buy as many guns as we want and bring them back to Chicago, our gun laws are nothing but a Band-Aid. We need federal legislation. We need federal legislation. Federal legislation. We need federal legislation. As long as children are becoming roadkill in America, we need federal legislation. As long as our children are afraid going to and from school, going to a playground, and sitting in our front porch, we need federal legislation. As long as bulletproof book bags are becoming a new needed item for children in Chicago, and when our schools have more active shooting drills than fire drills, we need federal legislation. So we gather here this afternoon to tell the Congress and the Senate, do your job. Protect American citizens from this public health issue. We believe in the right to gun ownership, but we also believe in the right to live. And your failure to pass gun safety laws is denying us that right. So we want you, ban assault weapons. Stop letting war weapons on our streets. Demand universal background checks. Title guns like cars. And Mitch McConnell, you said you would not bring any bills to vote unless Donald Trump told you he'd support it. Mr. McConnell, perhaps you've forgotten your job. You are not a puppet of the president. You're a voice of the people. Mitch McConnell, do your job. Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell. Finally, we have learned and we've taken action to save the whales, to save the dolphins, and to save exotic birds. For God's sake, it's time to save our children in America. End gun violence now! End gun violence now! End gun violence now! End gun violence now!
And now welcome the Congresswoman from the south side of Chicago, a ardent champion of gun violence prevention, Congresswoman Robin Kelly. Members of the Democratic delegation of the Congress.
Good afternoon. My name is Robin Kelly, Congresswoman for the 2nd Congressional District of Illinois. Thank you so much for being here. You are my heroes and my sheroes. Thank you, Father Mike, my partner in safety, Pam Bosley, Corey Williams, Poe, and everyone else who made this happen. Turn to your neighbor and say, thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here.
Enough is enough. There have been too many funerals, too many parents burying their babies, too many people harmed mentally and physically to keep silent and play along with business as usual. People are dying every day in the streets of our major cities, in suburban classrooms, and in rural grocery stores. Every day there's another shooting, another act of hate, another 100 lives cut short by gun violence. So yes, I am angry and I am sad. Sad for Gina Abasta, 17, who was killed last night in the Chicagoland area. Sad for the families that will never celebrate another birthday with Travis Williams or Treasure Kelly. And I am angry that we are here yet again because Mitch McConnell has done nothing. Angry that he can ignore more than 1,400 gun violence deaths in his own state over the last 5 years, but points a finger at Chicago. Angry that our politicians, largely those in the GOP, are so beholden to the NRA that they lack the spine to act and save lives. I'm angry because I know we will be back here again and again until we pass these laws and many others that need to be passed, or vote to get these jokers out. Back here mourning with the nation, looking for answers because the people's house refused to act. I'm cutting my speech short because there's so many members here and the speakers here, but I just wanted to introduce those that are not going to speak. David Cicilline, a hero and a warrior from Rhode Island. Steve Horsford, who lost his father to gun violence. Danny Davis, who I know you all know. And everyone else will speak, but it's my pleasure right now to introduce our true warrior, the Speaker of the House, who said we would do something that we have.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here with members of my family, my two daughters, Christine and Alexandra, but we consider all of us members of our family because we have been families in grief and families in action. A leader for us in our family is Maddie Scott of California, of San Francisco, who lost her son to gun violence, but has turned her anguish and her sorrow into action. Thank you, Maddie, for all that you do, my darling. And let us thank Moms Demand Action Against Gun Violence in every town and all the groups that have brought us together here today. I am particularly honored to be introduced by Robin Kelly, because Robin Kelly is a co-chair of our task force to end gun violence, and she brings to the table her leadership, her insistence, her determination, not only to end gun violence when everybody knows about it, but the silence of gun violence that takes lives every day. She has joined our chairman, Mike Thompson, the chair of our caucus, in putting legislation on the table, H.R. 8, which we demand has a vote. Give us a vote. And Mr. Clyburne's legislation, 1112, give us a vote. Now, on the 15th of September, it was a Sunday, Chuck Schumer and I, Leader Schumer and I, called the President of the United States. And we said, Mr. President, 200 days ago, the House sent to the Senate H.R. 8 and H.R. 1112. 200 days ago. Every day since then, on average, 100 people are killed by gun violence, 47 of them children or teenagers. That means 20,000 people since they have refused to take up our bill. Even more since then, every day. Every day. So I'm proud to stand up here with these champions. You'll hear from some, others have been acknowledged. I just want to say Mr. Cini was Mr. Cicilline and Catherine Clark and John Lewis were leaders in the sit-in in the Capitol, and we thank them. But there is no excuse. We keep saying to these members of Congress, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid to lose? Do you think your political survival is more important than the survival of our children? You are absolutely wrong. You are absolutely wrong. So thank you. Thank you for this day where we pray, but we act. Our chairman, Mr. Thompson, has said the moments of silence and prayers, that's interesting. But what really matters is action. So thank you for demanding action. And let me just close by expressing a sentiment I know we all share, which I told the president as recently as yesterday morning. We're not going away. We're not going away. We're not going away until the job is done. We must until the job is done. So know your power. You are making a tremendous difference. Keep the heat on. And as Shannon Watts said to me once, if they don't do this, they're going to have hell to pay. So thank you all very much.
Now it's my honor to introduce the icon of the Congress, Congressman John Lewis.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your leadership. Robin Kelly, thank you for pulling us all together. I want to thank my colleagues for being here. You look so good. And I know it feels good to be out here in the sun. But we have a job to do. We must end gun violence. We must do it. We have lost too many of our brothers and sisters. Too many of our children. Too many of our mothers and fathers. It is not safe to go to a church. It's not safe to go to a mosque. It's not safe to go to a synagogue. It's not safe to go to school. Too many of our people live in fear. That's not right. That's not fair. That's not just. And our government can do something about it. We must demand action now. One of these days, it may be tomorrow, it may be later during the week, but Robin Kelly, Mike Thompson, and others will tell you, we're going to see some action. You know, many years ago in my young life, when I had on my hair and a few pounds lighter, we sat in at lunch counters in restaurants. We marched. And we brought down those signs that said white waiting and colored waiting. We're going to change things. Not just in Washington, D.C., but all around our nation. We can stop it. We can stop it. Let's end gun violence, and let's end it now. Thank you so much for being here.
End gun violence. Now it's my honor to introduce Mike Thompson, the chairperson of our Gun Violence Prevention Task Force from California.
Thank you all so much for being here. And Robin Kelly, thank you for organizing today's event. But more important, thank you for all that you've done to help end gun violence. She has been a warrior on this issue. Every day she works on this issue. Robin, thank you very, very much. Madam Speaker, thank you. And John Lewis, it's an honor to share the stage with you, my friend. We can do something about gun violence. The House has done its work. The House has sent to the Senate legislation that will save lives. Legislation that will help end gun violence. That bill has been over there for over 200 days. And the leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, has done nothing. Mitch McConnell could take that bill up and he could save lives. He could take it up today and save lives. Every day, 30 people are killed by someone using a gun. Every day. The only time Mitch McConnell says anything, or this president says anything, when there's a huge mass shooting that captures all of the headlines, that takes up all of the electronic news. Then they talk about they're going to do something. They talk about it for a day. Sometimes they talk about it for 2 days. But as soon as a little time passes, it's crickets. You hear nothing from them. They need to do their damn job, take up this legislation, and let's save lives. Thank you.
Now it's my honor to introduce the godmother of the sit-in, Catherine Clark from Massachusetts.
Thank you. You are a beautiful sight. I am so thrilled to be here. I am so thrilled to be here with my colleagues, with the speaker, with John Lewis. When John Lewis says that we should do a sit-in, we listen. And it was led with my friends David Cicilline and Robin Kelly, who never lets us forget. It's more than the mass shootings that capture our grief and anguish. It's the daily loss of life. It's the suicides. It's the little girls on the porch with their grandmother having their hair done, who disappear at a tender age because we cannot get our government to act. We are not sitting anymore. We are standing. And we are roaring. And we are not going to accept silence and complacency. There is a proverb, when we pray, move our feet. Move our feet to the ballot box. Move our feet to the Capitol. Move our feet anywhere but to more funerals. This is our democracy. These are our children. We will move our feet and raise our voices and refuse to take no and silence for an answer. We can do this because the power of this democracy is with you. And you are the voices of change. Together, we are going to end gun violence. And we will not accept any other outcome for our country and our families. Thank you for being here.
Now I'd like to introduce my sister, my homie, Yvette Clark, as she says, from the People's Republic of Brooklyn, New York. Let me start by thanking my colleague, my sister, Robin Kelly. I understand some folk from Chicago out here. Chicago, let me hear you. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I saw some folk from Minnesota over here. Minnesota's out here. But I also heard that some folk from Brooklyn. Brooklyn, where you at? Yeah, Brooklyn is here. We are representing too. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me thank all of my colleagues. And South Jamaica, Queens, New York in the house. And I think DC's probably here too. We all stand together. We all stand together. Let me thank my colleagues, my speaker, the leadership. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Congresswoman Yvette Clark, and I represent New York's 9th Congressional District. I'm glad to be here with all of you today to confront gun violence in America and to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. We will not sit by idly while people are making money off our deaths. It's a money-making scheme. That's what gun manufacturers do. That's why they hide behind the NRA. The House of Representatives has done crucial work. We have passed H.R. 8, which gives background checks to every individual who would purchase a gun in the United States of America. We have done our job. That's right. But now we're waiting. We're waiting for Mitch McConnell to take up and pass the legislation in the Senate. We've been waiting and waiting since February for Mitch to do the right thing and put our lives, the lives of our children, above the profits of gun manufacturers and the immoral stance of the gun lobby. The Senate must do their job. Do your job. Say it one more time. Do your job. That's what I'm talking about. The escalating gun violence in America continues to plague our communities. It remains an ever-present threat to every woman, man, and child in this nation. In August alone, 53 Americans died in shootings in America, including back home in Brooklyn, where we had a mass shooting incident occur in my district. Like so many numbers who have suffered the loss of a loved one, we're our survivors who are survivors of gun violence, those who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. I stand with you. I lost my colleague, Councilman James E. Davis, a friend, in 2003. He was gunned down before me. My surviving colleagues, while at work in New York City Hall nearly a decade and a half ago, he was gunned down right before my eyes while we were at work in the City Council in New York. I've never forgotten that tragedy. I never will. I miss my colleague. I miss James. His being gunned down in front of me shook me. Just talking about it transports me to the day, that moment when gunshots rang out in the legislative chamber of the New York City Council, and then running and hiding in offices, barricading myself and a few colleagues in an office in City Hall until we were saved by an elite team of NYPD officers. Gun violence impacts lives physically and emotionally. We must get this done. We must get it done now. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for taking the time. God bless you. God keep you. We must end gun violence now. Thank you, Yvette. In talking about the Senate must do their job, we have two senators that have always done their job. Two senators from Connecticut that represent Newtown and all of Connecticut. And I understand Senator Murphy has to go, or it doesn't matter who speaks. They'll do it together. Please give them a warm round because they have worked really hard. And all of us House members have to go vote, so we'll be back.
You know, I remember back in 2013 when we lost a vote on the floor of the Senate on background checks. And I remember thinking that I had made every argument that I could to my colleagues. I had told them about the pain and suffering. I told them that it doesn't matter whether your child is lost in a school or on the streets of Hartford. The pain is the same. And we still couldn't get that bill passed. And then I realized that we just weren't strong enough as a movement yet. And I got news for the gun lobby. We're strong enough now. They're not so big and bad that they can't be beat, right? Right? We're the juggernaut now. And so let's be clear, you got a choice here in Congress. You can choose to continue to side with the gun lobby, but you're not going to be in Congress very much longer if you do that. And so I don't need to preach to you about the pain and the suffering that happens every single day in this country. I just want to remind you that there is no great social change movement in this country that succeeded the first time out, right? The ones that you read about in the history books that change the course of the world, those are the movements that have setbacks, that have failings, right? That don't automatically succeed, but they get up and they fight some more, right? My mother gave me a little rock with an inscription on it when I was a kid, and it said this. It said, "Real leaders are ordinary people with extraordinary persistence." We got extraordinary persistence today, right? So, listen, every single gun violence death in this country is preventable. Every single death is preventable if we make the right choices here in Congress. And you got a whole lot of people who are going to tell Mitch McConnell today, tomorrow, the day after, bring H.R. 8 up for a vote on the floor of the United States Senate. I get to do this job every day with somebody who speaks truth to power, who fights with me on the floor of the Senate, who sends the same message every day to Senator Mitch McConnell. That's my partner, Senator Dick Blumenthal.
Thank you, Chris. Chris Murphy and I are both from Connecticut. We have folks from Connecticut here, I know, and we are haunted. We are haunted every day by what we saw at Sandy Hook, as are so many of you who have seen it firsthand. And I want to say thank you to the loved ones, to the families, to the survivors who are here today. We're going to be hearing from you. You are carrying photographs. Newtown Action Alliance is here, represented by Poe Murray, many other groups from Connecticut and elsewhere. I want to say thank you for building this movement. It is just like that civil rights movement. It is being led by people all over the country who have the courage to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. You know, we are preaching the choir, but just like the preacher who was asked, why are you preaching the choir? He said, I want to hear them sing. So we are hearing you sing. This is what democracy looks like. To Mitch McConnell. You know, he prides himself on saying he's the Grim Reaper. Do your job. Do your job. And we are gonna pass H.R. 8. It may not be tomorrow, but with your help, we're gonna do it. That assault weapons ban, there was a hearing this morning. We're gonna pass an assault weapon ban. Those weapons of war belong on the battlefield, not in our classrooms or on our streets. So let me just say finally, because you're going to hear from some of the folks who have come a long way to tell you their personal stories. This sunlight out here, this sunlight is the best disinfectant. We need to show that corruption for what it is. Money going to your elected representatives from the gun lobby to vote their way. We are ending that corruption. We are going to pass measures that the American people want, because this is what democracy looks like. Thank you for being here, and we are going to do our job. Thank you.
Not on. Oh, there we go. And now, let's hear from some of the young people who are leading this movement. First, two of the survivors of gun violence who've stared it in the face. Trevon Bosley from the Brave Youth Leaders. Welcome, Trevon.
Hello, everybody. I want to start off with a chant. Most of you kind of know what I'm going to do, but repeat after me. Say, everyday shootings are everyday problems. Say, everyday shootings are everyday problems. No. Say it like you really care. Everyday shootings are everyday problems. Thank you. My name is Trevon Bosley, and I'm representing the Brave Youth Leaders of St. Sabina. And I'm here to speak for Chicago and those across the nation who are being shot and killed on a daily basis. Now, before I just go on a rant about the many injustices taking place in America, I want to make sure people truly understand why are we so upset. So I'm going to ask a few questions. What happens to a bus driver who constantly shows up to work late, and when they finally show up, they never stick to their routes? They get fired. Now, what happens to a salesman who couldn't make a single sale all year? They get fired. Now, what happens to a security guard who can't secure a single thing? They get fired. Now, you're probably wondering, how does any of this correlate to the situation at hand? Well, it's clear that for most professions in America, if you don't do your job, you get fired. And it seems that most politicians in Washington don't know this, but Capitol Hill is not exempt. Mitch McConnell, you are not exempt from the unemployment line. And trust me when I say this, Donald Trump and the word jobless will be synonymous real soon. Now, this statement holds for more than just Mitch and Donald. This goes for all people representing this country. When you allow over 35,000 people to die by gun-related deaths every year, you're not doing your job. When you're separating children from their parents and locking them in cages, you are not doing your job. When you sit by and do nothing while the incarceration rate of black people is 5 times that of white people, you are not doing your job. And when you allow racism and hate to run rampant throughout the country, you're not doing your job. Now, while we're all here, let's talk about Chicago. We're tired of hearing Chicago this and Chicago that from people who have not stepped foot on the South and West Sides. We're tired of hearing from those who only come to Chicago to see the skyline or visit Navy Pier. People who know nothing about Chicago love to say, oh, gun laws don't work. Chicago has strict gun laws. Or Chicago's violence is always gang-related. Now, allow me to clarify something. 60% of guns recovered in Chicago crime scenes have come from out of state. Which means the so-called strict gun laws we supposedly have mean nothing if the states around us have lax gun laws. Now, as for Chicago's shootings being gun-related, my cousin, Vincent Avant, shot and killed while sitting in the car. Blair Hope, shot and killed on the bus while on the way home from school. Corey Parker, shot and killed around the corner from his home on the 4th of July. Sarkeisha Reed, shot and killed in her home while getting ready for school. Dante Smith, shot and killed at a block party. Dominique Willis, shot and killed while riding in a car with friends. Rolanda Marshall, shot and killed while sitting in a restaurant. Hadia Pendleton, shot and killed at a park near her school. And my brother, Terrell Bosley, shot and killed at church getting ready for band rehearsal. Now, contrary to what media outlets and officials want you to believe, these deaths are not due to anything wrong. No one's doing anything wrong, but people were just living their lives as normal. Now, the problems in the black and brown community in Chicago is the same as the problems in nearly every black and brown community across America. Communities where school systems are underfunded and state penitentiaries are overfilled, where politicians are overpaid and anti-violence programs are under-resourced, where police are overtly racist and are rarely held accountable, where all lives supposedly matter, but black and brown lives are taken on a daily basis. Now, this is an American problem, and for too long she has not valued the lives of black, brown, and poor. The injustices we see on a daily basis are blatantly ignored by Capitol Hill. The cries of the nations of the children can be heard across the world, and it seems on Capitol Hill they turn a blind eye and a deaf ear. Your job is to represent and serve all the people that call this country home. Now remember that when you go into your office and you go to sleep at night. Thank you.
And now, welcome a survivor of the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, and now a leader of March for Our Lives, Lauren Hogg.
Hi guys, how's it going? Hi Chicago family, I'm so happy to see you here. Okay, so just to begin, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lauren Hogg. I'm now 16, but when I was 14 years old, there was a shooting that took away 17 of my friends, teachers, and classmates in my school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. In the days following, my friends and I got together and created March for Our Lives. Later that month, we had one of the largest, if not the largest, youth protest ever put on. Although that was about 2 years ago, and although I've learned many things and met many people, one of the things that I'm most grateful for is the people that I've made friends with in Chicago, my friends from Chicago. And although we grew up in different circumstances, although we have different parents, different everything else, we have one thing in common. We know that sometimes when things aren't done correctly, there's no other option except to do them for yourself. We compared growing up, and I talked about how as I walked to school without a care in the world, they walked to school trying to not look when they heard gunshots ring down the streets. Since then, I now don't not only worry for my friends in school by the threat of gun violence, I worry for my friends across the country that are being threatened by gun violence just getting to school. So the thing is, although we're different, this is not just about mass shootings. This is not just about when white kids get killed in shootings and then politicians decide to care. This is about every single day gun violence that occurs all across the country. Because one child killed in Parkland and one child killed in Chicago are similar. It's not completely different. We shouldn't say, oh, this child is white, and then get politicians to care. This is about every single child in every single community. On that note, although there needs to be different policies for different places in the United States, there are simple things like universal background checks that would aid in protecting all of us children. And as you guys know, we have had H.R. 8 passed in the House. Now we have S-42, but it's time for us as young people, as no matter what age you are, to demand change. It's time for us to call on people like Mitch McConnell, call out the NRA, and call out every single politician who takes NRA money over children's life, whether that be a child in Parkland or a child in Chicago. Once again, I think the fact that even you guys are here, and I'm so grateful to know some of you, shows that gun violence is an intersectional issue. And when politicians decide to just care about mass shooting survivors, they're doing injustice to all survivors of all types of gun violence. So it's time for us to get together and to work towards ending this epidemic. Because I have the greatest fear that someday I will have to hear a child half my age explain to me that they were born after Marjorie Stoneman Douglas and grew up having to deal with this, because it's unacceptable no matter where you live. And it's time for politicians to care about children despite race, despite zip code, and despite their ideologies. It's time for them to listen to us, because us students, us young people, all of us people are tired of gun violence. Yeah, right? Yeah. And it is time for people to listen to us. The time for them to start caring about the future of this country has passed. It is time for them to begin to, but it's now time for us to take the future in our own hands and to fight for that future where we don't have to worry about being killed by gun violence, whether that be in a street, in a school, in a park, in a church. It's time for this to end. Thank you all for being here.
Now please welcome a DC high school student and March for Our Lives DC co-director, Elisa Cruz.
I mean, I know y'all can do better than that. Let's go! Yes! So I'm going to be speaking from the heart right now because it seems like every week I have to speak on this. So I'm kind of used to this. And that's not cool. I'm not going to say any statistics because I know they probably already told you about the statistics, but these lives aren't statistics. I come from March for Our Lives, D.C., but first I was born and raised in D.C. All of this is our backyard. We are your neighbors. Our bloods are running on these streets, and I see it all the time. Just last Thursday, I came from a D.C. native Million Mo March, which was a march to end gun violence in D.C., and while I was marching with my peers, 4 different shootings happened, and one was up the street from my house. One of the shootings the guy had an AK-47 rifle. Why? That makes no sense. It makes no sense. It needs to stop. These youth, black and brown, because I come from the Latino community, they should be writing, period, and manas, but they should be writing their college essays with me. They should be celebrating their scholarships in college right now. They shouldn't be dead. They shouldn't be going through this trauma that gun violence inflicts on us. It's always hard to talk about it because I come from an Afro-Latino family, and looking at these pictures, I see my cousins because, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if one day it'll be one of my own. I fight every day because I am tired. Estoy cansada. You guys look beautiful today, all of this diversity. Sometimes I'm in meetings where the intersectionality is nowhere to be found. So right now, y'all should all be proud of yourselves. Chicago, Brooklyn, represent. stigmatize it about being the city with gun violence. That should not be the case. Because I know people from Chicago and they are beautiful. And you should know them too. And right now I'm telling you as well, I'm going to say it again, DC has gun violence and it's 10 minutes from us. It's 5 metro stops from us. Again, we are your neighbors. Yo soy tu vecino. So please act like it. They should be banning those assault weapons because there's no reason why underprivileged neighborhoods like my neighborhood should be having access to those. I see people in the crowd right now, y'all crying, and I feel you. I do. It's not fake, it's genuine. I love you. And I'm here with you all this step. Know that you have a friend in DC fighting for you too. All these pictures in front of me, I'm so sorry. I really am, and I know you're tired of hearing I'm so sorry. But I love you too. So one more time, please put your whole heart into this. Please scream with me. End gun violence. End gun violence! End gun violence now! Thank you.
He is one of the most consistent people I know, one of the most constant people I know, one of the most authentic people and genuine people I know, and always has been and always will be. He's from the south side of Chicago. Put your hands together for Common!
Peace. So good afternoon to all my people here that's here to end gun violence. Chicago represent. I'm so honored to be from my city that we know has so much love and so much creativity, so much joy, so much inspiration that has affected the world. And our city is a microcosm of things that's going on in America, where there is a lot of beauty, there's a lot of goodness, a lot of good people. But somehow there are still dark spots and dark moments. And those dark moments seem to surface a lot, and those are the things that are highlighted, but they need to be highlighted for a reason, because those are issues that are going on in our communities. Issues is not only going on in Chicago, but as we've seen, as the sister just came from before, she's from DC. We got people here from Florida. We got people here from Brooklyn, from New York, from Queens, New York. People from all over our country. This is a American problem. And because so many of us, when things happen, sometimes we see it on the news and we don't pay attention to it, we don't take it in. But once it starts happening to us, we recognize it as an American problem, as our problem. I look at the young men and women who are holding pictures and wearing pictures and carrying pictures of their loved ones, and I look at them and say that's a reflection of me. No longer can I go about and just be like, I'm just an artist out here doing my thing. That's me right there. I'm part of their family. And I don't even have to be, it doesn't have to only be just from the same skin color. When I see people, what happened in Florida, that's my family too. When I see the Latino brothers and sisters being shot down, that's my family too. So my family is those on the side of God's side, those that's trying to do good for humanity, and those innocent, and even those who may not know that they're supposed to be doing God's work, but they trying to get there. That's my family. Those who are against are those who are not paying attention to it or ignoring it, those who actually know what's going on and just don't care and don't make the effort. But I believe we can combat that by galvanizing the way we galvanize and making sure we demand from these political leaders what needs to be demanded, making sure they don't even have an opportunity to get back in the office, the people that we can vote, and making sure we just show and prove amongst our communities with all the power that we have, that we empower each other to spread love. We ask people to, this country says, God bless America. Well, God can't really bless America the same way if we're gonna be carrying guns all around the whole way. And our leaders, the leaders that we appointed as leaders have to know how to lead with love. When you get in a position of leadership is somewhere, even if you don't come from that community, you take time enough to go find out what's going on in that community so you can take care of those communities. Let's be for real. Most of the people that's in the White House don't know about the black community or the brown community. And most of them haven't spent time in our communities. But you can take time to spend time. The people from Parkland didn't know what was going on in Chicago, but unfortunately, they incurred an incident that made them have to know what's going on in Chicago. Well, it's time for these people in the White House to know what's going on in Chicago and abroad. And though they do know, we got to make them feel it. We got to make them feel it. And whatever ways we have to organize and do our thing, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do this act in love. Let's fight in the act of love. Let's stand up in the act of love. We ending gun violence with love. We making sure our people know that we love each other and we value each other, no matter what background we come from. So I'm here to stand with you all. It ain't about celebrity and all that. I'm a human being caring for you the same way you care for me. And with that, that's real, Chi-Town. Come on now. I ain't say that name. I thought you was from Chicago. That's what I said. I said that's real, Chi-Town. That's real. So I wanna end this by making sure whatever we can do, and I'll be aligned with that, whatever the next steps are that we have that we can do as activists, because we all here as activists now, we here, that this protest continues to move forward by action. So whatever, I'm a demand on Father Flagra that we know what's our next steps, and we all in one accord, aligned to know what those steps are. And we all gonna be held accountable, and you can hold me accountable. And I'll just end with, I wrote this song, it's called Good Morning Love. And it's about seeing the world in a brighter way. But it's, coming from some journeys I had. So I'm gonna talk it to y'all, all right? I say, walking with the Lord, I see footprints. My mama always told me use my good sense. Common always looking for the good sense, since we all got good in our essence. In the hood sense, we all good anyway. That's why you always hear another dollar, another day. I see the day as a new beginning, movement of the people, movement of the women, to get the earth spinning in the right direct. This movie of life sometimes might project act scenes that don't seem serene. I like Palo Santo, put on love supreme, and get into the being of the great I am. That's when I get to seeing just how great I am. Many, many times from mistakes I ran, but I'm just a cake, let me bake, goddamn. I pray I don't forsake my man, and whenever I fall on faith I land. Imperfections, resurrections, in the mirror staring at God's reflection, reflecting on my aggressions, on my progressions, on my obsessions. There's a lesson in not feeling less than and seeing life itself as a blessing. The jubilee of a newer me, giving my enemies something new to see. My community, they be fueling me. In the struggle of us, there's a unity. The moral universe, stay schooling me. Will the King of Kings really ruling me? I'm an instrument, stay in tune with me. This orchestrated by Kareem Samore booming me. If Agape had a Cupid, she be shooting me. This rap here is fear's eulogy. Escape rooms with glasses of wine, just another crutch for my brokenness. A term that I got from my therapist. As a black man, I feel I should be sharing this. In the hood, they say we crazy and we derelicts, but we need it for our kids and our marriages. Though some folks say we don't do that, but taking care of self is the new black. Unconventional ways, unconditional ways, meditation, mindfulness, it's just giving the praise. I'm in a phase, all I see is victory. You on that wave, then come and get with me. I only want what's meant for me, and say the things that's sent to me. In penitentiaries, I'm at the most enlightened. Finding the lost is heaven's excitement. I write with the force of a kid that wanted to be in the source, but that changed the course. I maintained the sauce and became a boss. I apologize if I came across as judgmental or self-righteous, because in you, I see his likeness.
Now, welcome the President of the National Education Association, Lily Garcia.
Wow! Buen dia! Buen dia! Get your Latino on. Come on, buen dia! It is a good day. It is a good day when you can look out here not only under this gorgeous sun and the sky, but you see power out here. Do you not feel this power? I am a 6th grade teacher. We heard people from D.C., from Chicago. I'm from Utah. Yeah. Ooh. It doesn't matter if you're from a red state, from a blue state. I don't care if you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat, Green Party. It doesn't matter. All of us must stand together, and use the power we have. Let me tell you what my 6th graders could do. They could repeat after me. Very dangerous people have very easy access to very dangerous weapons. This is the problem we have asked the people in this building to solve. The problem is very dangerous people have very easy access to very dangerous weapons. Why is that so hard to understand? I could say it in 2 languages. It doesn't matter. It's not getting through to Mitch McConnell. And so what we get back are distractions. We see these tragedies and someone forgets that what we're trying to solve is very dangerous weapons in the hands of very dangerous people, and they had easy access to it. Instead they say, you know what? I think the problem is teachers don't have guns. I think we need teachers with guns. I think we need more time in our schools for those duck and cover activities where we pretend there's a shooter and we scare children and educators to death by saying, now we're all going to sit in the closet. And those kids are being traumatized. The problem is we need guns for the ushers in a church. We need guns for the ticket takers at a movie house. We need guns for the cashiers at Walmart. We know what problem we're trying to solve. Very dangerous people have very easy access to very dangerous weapons. And that's why we know the answer is extreme risk protection orders, universal background checks, and ban those damn assault rifles. Ban them! Let me close with this. Democracy actually isn't supposed to look like this. We're not supposed to have to take to the streets and scream into a microphone. But sometimes democracy has to look like this. Until Mitch McConnell decides to do the job he was elected to do, democracy will look like us. We are what democracy looks like until they save our children. Mil gracias, hermanos y hermanas. Gracias de mi corazón.
Thank you, Lily. And now let me bring back to the stage a movement and music icon, Peter Yarrow and Bethany Yarrow.
I sang with my daughter Bethany Yarrow here. Thank goodness the young generation is here with me, because I'm remembering 1963 at the March on Washington, when Peter, Paul, and Mary sang Blowing in the Wind and If I Had a Hammer. This, however, is the next generation of activists Her name is Bethany Yarrow. Please acknowledge. Now, we could sing. We only have a little bit time, but I want to sing one verse of this song to give us a connection to that march led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and so many others. And this is one verse of what we sang. It's the second verse. How many years can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea?
How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free?
How
Many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? Que no puede ser. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Now you just sing it to us. Watch my hands.
Answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Now when we sang that, we were not singing a song with notes and chords and lyrics. We were singing with blood and bones of people lost. Peter Palmer sang at the gravesite of Andrew Goodman from Goodman, Cheney, and Schwerner. Today, we sing with that same agonizing sense of loss. And this is a sacred line I want you to sing again softly, but everybody. The words are, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. It's all around us. It's within us. The answer is blowing in the wind. Here we go, softly. Here we go.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Now to honor this moment, sing it by yourselves. The
answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Great, great. I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
And I won't turn back.
And I won't turn back.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
And I won't turn back.
And I won't turn back.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
And I won't turn back.
And I won't turn back.
I'm on my way.
Great God, I'm on my way.
I asked my mother.
I asked my mother
to go with me.
To go with me.
I asked my mother.
I asked my mother
to go with me.
To go with me. I asked my mother.
To go with me.
To go with me. I'm on my way. Great God, I'm on my way.
Now you're going to just repeat by yourselves. I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
I won't turn back.
And I won't turn back.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
And I won't turn back.
And I won't turn back.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
And I won't turn back.
And I won't turn back.
I'm on my way. Great God.
I'm on my way.
When you hear your voice, on my way.
I'm on my way.
To a safe, free world.
To a safe, free world.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
To to a safe, free world.
To a safe, free world.
On my way.
I'm on my way.
Beautiful world.
To a safe, free world. On my way.
Great
God, I'm on my way.
Repeat after me. Where we must end.
Well,
No, let me just hear them do it. Well, we must end our nation's shame.
Our nation's shame.
Well, we must aim and end our nation's shame.
Our nation's
Together. We must end
We must end
our nation's shame.
our nation's shame. I'm
On my way, great God, I'm on my way. And the time has come to end this pain. The time has come to end this pain. The time has come
The time has come
to end this pain.
to end this pain. I'm on my way. Great God, I'm on my way.
Stop, Bethany, we won't be stopped.
And we won't be stopped.
And we won't be stopped.
And we won't give up.
And we won't give up.
And we won't be stopped.
And we won't be stopped.
And we won't give up.
And we won't give up.
And we won't be stopped.
And we won't be stopped.
And we won't give up.
And we won't give up.
We're on our way. A great God, we're on our way.
Our children's lives at stake are all at stake. Our children's lives are all at stake. Our children's lives, oh, they're at stake.
And our children shall no longer die. Our children shall no longer die. Our children shall no longer die.
And our children die,
Our children die.
but we'll not forget. And our children die, we'll not forget. And our children die, but we'll not forget. We're on our way, a great God, we're on our way.
All right, let's hear it for
Children die, children die, but they're not gone. Our children die, but they're not gone. Children die, but they're not gone.
We're on our way. Great God, we're on our way.
And this is the last verse, and this is the last verse, and this is the last verse. We dedicate our lives to you. We dedicate our lives to you. We dedicate our lives to you. We're on our way, great God, we're on our way.
Now let me welcome back to the stage Congresswoman from the South Side of Chicago, Robin Kelly, to introduce a special guest.
Back again, colleagues from the Senate and the House, can you come on the stage? We have Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence from Detroit, Michigan. Congresswoman and freshman Debbie McCarl Powell from Florida, and she lost her father to gun violence. Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, Chicago and Evanston. And she knows the voice of God. Congresswoman Lucy McBath. A lot of you know Congresswoman McBath, who lost her son to gun violence. And I'll say the great senator from Illinois, Dick Durbin. I don't see him. I don't know if my colleague Bobby Rush is still here from Chicago. If he is, come up. I'd like to now introduce Senator Durbin.
It is an honor to be here today on this stage with my colleagues, and it's a greater honor to welcome you to the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and a special welcome to Father Mike Flager and the St. Sabina's busloads, 12 busloads from Chicago. Can you hear me, Chicago? Are you with it? The President of the United States says when it comes to gun safety, we're going to go very slowly. Go very slowly is what he said. Let me tell you what, we can't afford to go slowly when it comes to saving the lives of innocent people across America who are shot and killed every single day in this nation. We need to pick up speed, and we need to make sure that we move legislation. My friends here in the House of Representatives passed H.R. 8, a bill that would give us comprehensive background checks, over 200 days ago. Over 200 days ago, they passed that legislation. But unfortunately, the Republican majority leader, not the Democratic leader, but the Republican majority leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, refuses to call legislation which will give us these background checks and save lives. We know how critically important it is. And we know that every second counts. We can't go slowly. Do you know what happened in Dayton, Ohio, when that man turned that gun loose on those people? In 31 seconds, he killed 9 people. 31 seconds. And if the law enforcement people had not been on the scene and came immediately, many more would have died. That's the story of Dayton, but it's a story across America. So far this year, 2,000 people have been injured by handguns in the Chicagoland area, and over 360 have lost their lives. That is a tragedy that can only end if we act and move quickly to act. Is it time to move when it comes to gun safety? Are you with me when it comes to comprehensive background checks? Let's keep guns out of the hands of felons. Let's keep guns out of the hands of people who cannot handle them. We are a nation of people who stand together. We're going to have our word today, but the last word and the most important word on this subject is going to be in November of 2020. November of 2020. As Americans, as voters, we get the last word. And the last word is start saving lives in America. Let's bring gun safety to America. Let's have comprehensive background checks. Let's save the lives of innocent people all across this nation. It's an honor to be with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Durbin. My colleagues couldn't be here earlier, but now we'll hear from Congresswoman Lucy McBath.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the faith leaders and groups for being here and for standing together to be a voice against gun violence in America. And I can tell you, I never imagined I would be standing here today before you. But yes, I am standing here before you because I, too, am a victim of gun violence. I lost my son, Jordan, in the National Loud Music killing. He was only 17 years old. He was killed simply for playing music in his car. And I will tell you now, I've come here to Washington to stand up and to fight. To stand up against legislators that refuse to do right in saving lives. Because courage is channeling that pain into progress. And each and every one of you that are here today, especially if you are a victim of gun violence, senseless acts of gun violence, I applaud you for using your voice, for standing up. And for those that support us, thank you so very much for standing here and demanding that legislation works to keep our families safe. It's been over 200 days. 200 days, and the Republican Senate has refused to take up our legislation on background checks for all gun sales and closing the Charleston loophole. That is unconscionable. That is unacceptable. And we will continue to champion, we will continue to knock down the doors for what is right to keep our families and our future safe. Thank you for standing here. Thank you for using your voices. We will continue to fight on your behalf, because to not do so is completely unacceptable, and too much is at stake in America not to act. Thank you.
I agree. Our Congresswoman from the great state of Florida, Congresswoman Debbie Murcaso-Powell.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I come from a hearing in the Judiciary Committee. We had a hearing to ban assault weapons. And it was an extremely emotional hearing because I, too, am a victim of gun violence. I lost my father when I was 24 years old, and I was pulled out of the classroom to be told that he had been shot and killed by a criminal with a gun. That day changed forever, and every single time I hear the shootings, Parkland, Orlando, El Paso, Dayton, Gilroy. These weapons that are being used in places of war, like Iraq and Afghanistan, are being used in our communities to take the lives of our children, our parents, our brothers, our sisters. The pain is too close and too real. Just today, I got a phone call that my children's school had an active shooter drill. This morning, as we were starting the assault weapons ban hearing, my 11-year-old daughter told me that if they're caught in the hallway, they can't go back into their classrooms. And she told me that it would be okay because she would try to reason with the shooter that he or she too may have a little brother and a little sister, and to please not shoot at her. I want to mention a family that I got to know in my community, the family of Cornell Thomas Williams. Cornell was only 2 years old when he was killed by a stray bullet while playing in the courtyard of his family's apartment. This is unacceptable. The House of Representatives has spoken for the people. We have sent the Senate a bill that would take care of universal background checks today if Senate Majority Leader McConnell had the courage to stand with more than 90% of Americans who say enough is enough. But instead, Senate Majority Leader has chosen to ignore the will of the people. We will not allow it. We will not stop. Now is the time to find courage. Now is the time to demand that our lawmakers listen to our voices. Now is the time to change our country. Thank you.
Now welcome the leader of the Senate Democratic minority, soon we hope to be the Senate Democratic majority, Chuck Schumer.
And if I become majority leader, guess what that means? We have ditch Mitch, ditch Mitch, ditch Mitch, ditch Mitch, ditch Mitch. And one of the first things I'll do is put universal background checks on the floor of the Senate, and it will pass. I am proud to be author of the Brady Law. I am proud to be author of the assault weapons ban. I am proud that the NRA puts me on the cover of their magazine and says public enemy number one. NRA, you're gonna keep putting me on your cover, and your public enemy number one is gonna whip your butt. There is just far too much violence everywhere. People who shouldn't have guns are getting guns. This is not, they are the mass shootings, and they are the individual shootings. Every night, acts of gun violence in my city of New York, and in Chicago, and in St. Louis, and in Baltimore. They may not make national headlines, but each one leaves families, friends, communities mourning because of the senseless violence that has taken place. I want to salute Speaker Pelosi and my House colleagues for putting H.R. 8 on the floor. And we are going to keep fighting and fighting and fighting until the Senate does the same, until we pass H.R. 8, until we pass an assault weapons ban, and until these senseless shootings and violence end once and for all. Thank you, God bless you, and keep up the work. Good work. Ditch Mitch. Ditch Mitch. Ditch Mitch. Ditch Mitch. Keep up the fight, and God bless you.
Now welcome the president of Brady and the president of the American Federation of Teachers, Chris Brown from Brady, and Randy Weingarten from the AFT.
So, it's hot out here. Welcome to climate change in Washington, D.C. But it's not hot enough in that building. Because Mitch McConnell doesn't see what you see on the streets of Chicago, in the schools that Lily and I have teachers and paraprofessionals in, schools that now have 96% of them have active shooter training. Do you think 96% of them have guidance counselors or nurses? Do you think that 96% of them have plays and have the restorative justice programs that we need? No. The priorities are wrong. And everyone in this field today in front of the Congress knows that. The issue now is, how do we get Mitch and the other Republicans to act on their conscience, not to have directions from the NRA? So, my question to you is it time to act? When a nation loses more students to gun violence a year than service members in combat, is it time to act? When young people say their greatest fear is gun violence, is it time to act? When students and teachers across the country speak about school shootings in terms of when it will happen in their school, not if, is it time to act? Our children are clamoring for action. Will we act on behalf of this generation? Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Brown. I'm the president of Brady, and what you see here, thank you. Thank you all for being here today, and for all of you coming from Chicago, welcome to D.C. We need you, and we need you to send a message to Mitch McConnell. You know, a lot of times he talks about fundamental rights, but I think you know that there are certain fundamental rights that are being trampled upon in cities all across this country. Every day. Because something very, very basic is true, which is where you live should not determine if you live. That's right. I think you all need to raise the heat a little bit more and help me send a message. Let's all send a message to Mitch McConnell that enough is enough. 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 Thank you. I'm going to tell you a few facts that you already know because you are living it. But we need to share this time and again with Americans all across the country who don't necessarily understand we're losing 100 people a day. 100 people a day to gun violence. The equivalent of a regional jet falling from the sky every single day. And enough is enough. And what that has done is reduced the average lifespan of an African American male in this country by 4 years. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We have bills sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk, yet he jokes about being the Grim Reaper while people are actually dying. He needs to bring those bills to the floor now, and he needs to pass them with a simple majority vote. 51 is fair. Gun violence is a public health epidemic. The Senate needs to take an up or down vote on background checks. Now, it's too important for a filibuster. If the Senate can take away your health care with 51 votes, if they can appoint Brett Kavanaugh to a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court with 51 votes, then they should be able to save lives with 51 votes. Thank you.
All right. And now, from the Newtown Action Alliance, Poe Murray.
Thank you, Chicago. Thank you, New York City. Thank you to DC, Minnesota, Florida. Thank you to Sandy Hook, Newtown. Let's practice. Ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. My neighbor killed 20 children and 6 educators at Sandy Hook Elementary School 7 years ago. One AR-15 turned our neighborhood, our town, our state, our nation upside down. Ban assault weapons! Ban assault weapons! Ban assault weapons! The AR-15s were designed to efficiently kill as many people as rapidly as possible. The bullets from the AR-15s travel 3 times faster than handgun bullets. AR-15s shred bodies. Ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. How many must die before Congress will ban assault weapons? Ban assault weapons! Ban assault weapons! Ban assault weapons! We have walked the halls of Congress for 7 years, and we have acquired 212 co-sponsors for the H.R. 1296, the assault weapons ban of 2019. Ban assault weapons! Ban assault weapons! Ban assault weapons! We need 6 more! 6 more to ban assault weapons! Ban assault weapons! Ban assault weapons! All Republicans must support a ban on assault weapons, and all Democrats must too. We call on Lauren Underwood and Sherry Bustos from Illinois, your neighbors from Chicago, to ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Sanford Bishop Jr. from Georgia. Ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Anthony Brindisi from New York. Ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Henry Kohler, Texas, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Joe Cunningham from South Carolina, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Sharice Davids from Kansas, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Pete DeFazio from Oregon, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Lizzie Fletcher from Texas, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Jared Golden from Maine, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Vincent Gonzalez from Texas, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Kendra Horn from Oklahoma, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Hank Johnson from Georgia, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Ron Kine from Wisconsin, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Connor Lamb from Pennsylvania, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Dan McAdams from Utah, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Tom O'Halloran, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Colin Peterson from Minnesota, ban assault weapons. Sherry Pingree from Maine, ban assault weapons. Ben Ray Lujan, New Mexico, ban assault weapons. Kurt Schrader from Oregon, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Terry Sewell from Alabama, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Sochi Torres Ma from New Mexico, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. Jeff Van Drew from New Jersey, ban assault weapons. Ban assault weapons. And Philemon Vila from Texas, ban assault weapons. Thank you. Today is a historic day. This is the first time the House of Representatives have held a hearing on assault weapons since Republicans allowed the 1994 assault weapons ban to expire in 2004. Now it's up to us to demand action. Ban assault weapons and let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And now, welcome back to the stage, the St. Sabina Youth Choir.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. How many know that this world, we need God more than ever, all right? We need Him more than ever. And so we just need to make sure that we are understanding that He will continue to just cover everything that we're doing and in banning assault weapons. Amen?
Go ahead and sing that song.
Fill up this space. My world needs you right now. My world needs you right now. I can't escape being afraid. Fill me with you right now. My world needs you right now.
Show me a face. Fill up the space. My world needs you right now. My world needs you right now. I can't escape being afraid. Fill me with you right now. My world needs you right now. Powerful down. Bring with it a sound that points us to you right now. Erase substitutes right now. Fix what I see. And God, please fix me. My world needs you right now. Let us see you right now. Powerful down. Bring with
Come fill this space. My world needs you right now. My world needs you right now.
Come on. Say we need you. Come on, say we need you. Come on, end gun violence now. End gun violence now. Amen, amen. God bless you.
And now, as we near the end of our program, let me ask a number of the people who have suffered most from gun violence, the survivors of gun violence, a number of them, to come to the stage. First, Pamela Bosley, from Purpose Over Plan. Then, Sandy and Lonnie Phillips from Survivors Empowered. Carol Dixon from Where Do We Go From Here? Fred Gutenberg from Orange Ribbons for Gun Safety. Orissa Napier-Williams from Not Another Child. Nadine Jeffries and Kristen Song from Song Strong.
Thank you. So repeat after me. Congress, do your job. Congress, do your job. Say it again like you mean it. Congress, do your job. Congress, do your job. Okay, I'm standing here united with parents from different cities and states calling for Congress to do your job and pass common sense gun laws. We did not travel from Chicago to D.C. on buses riding 14 hours for a show. Myself and 600 people plus came from Chicago, a city where 2,072 people year to date were shot, and where 354 people was killed year to date. A city where my son, Terrell, at the age of 18, was shot on the grounds of a church, a place that should have been safe. A place where children are shot on the bus coming home from school, on the playgrounds, in their homes, in a city where we hear shots every single day. A city where gun violence has become a commonplace. To our Congress representatives, we are here in D.C. because we are tired of burying our children. We are tired of burying our loved ones. We are tired of dying. And we are tired of Congress making excuses. So we are saying to Congress, no more excuses. Congress, do your job. And treat gun violence as a public health crisis and pass common sense gun laws so that we can have our constitutional right to live. Now, as I look across in this audience, I see so many families standing here on the Capitol with pictures of your loved ones. And today, September 25th, this is the Victims' National Day of Remembrance. So I'm asking parents in the audience to stand up, hold your pictures up. I need people to embrace, because on this stage we have New York. We have everybody here. We have different cities and states standing together, uniting together. So I'm asking everyone in the audience, this part is for you. So you've been sitting, you've been listening to all the representatives, everybody speaking, but this moment right here is for our children, and not just the parents, the moms and the dads, anybody who life was taken by violence. I want to take this moment and allow you an opportunity. At the count of 3, I want you to yell your sons and your daughters and your friends, your loved ones, names so loud that they hear us on this Capitol, because we didn't come here for nothing. So at the count of 3, I want you to yell it like you never did before, like your babies can hear you. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now repeat after me. Together, we can end gun violence. Say it like you mean it. Together, we can end gun violence. We are in this together. Now listen to me. We just got to believe in what we just said. Look at the person next to you. I'm your sister, your brother. I'm your sister, brother keeper. And we need you all to unite together and believe within your hearts that we're not going to bury any more kids and that we can end gun violence. So say end gun violence. End gun violence. End gun violence. End gun violence. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Thank you.
Sandy Phillips.
Hi, everyone. My husband, Lonnie, and I started a gun violence prevention group a few years ago called Survivors Empowered. We were tired of looking around and seeing these large groups representing us. I count on you. Are we together in this? Yes. My daughter, Jessie, was killed 7 years ago in the Aurora Theater. We were kind of thrust out into the limelight by a gun violence group that basically used us and abused us. Most of us have had that feeling. But because we were a mass shooting, we had a lot of attention put onto us. And we immediately found the responsibility of that other voices, many of those right here in this group, were not being heard. And it was not okay. So we got together with another victim in California whose son was in the Las Vegas shooting, and then he was killed a year later in the Borderline shooting. She's not here today because she's still way too emotional and way too raw, but she's the one that came up with wearing the black t-shirts and why she wanted that done. We are in black because we are in mourning. We are in mourning for our children. We are in mourning for our families, and we are in mourning for our country. This is not a black or white issue. This is an issue that affects us all, every single American. Bullets don't discriminate. A bullet doesn't care if you're rich, poor, black, white, young, old, Democrat, or guess what? A Republican. So we're here to raise some noise, respectfully, of course, and call out the Republicans who keep fighting against us every step of the way, while the blood of our children and our families are running in the streets. So we are here to end gun violence, each and every one of us, and we're here for the long haul. We are not going away. Can I hear you say that? We are not going away. We are not going away. And we will win. 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 Thank you all. Appreciate it.
From New York, Carolyn Dixon.
Love and blessings, everyone. May 5th, 2014, I was with my best friend. We was going to eat, and he got a phone call. And we went to an area, and when he left that area, I saw a man walk around the corner, and he shot my son in his leg. My son took his last breaths in my arms and died. Congress do not understand the trauma that we go through in the black and brown community. They don't understand the suicide that we face each and every day in the black and brown community. What they don't understand is that we don't have the resources that we need to move on with our new life, because it's a new life without our loved ones. It is not normal for our children to be murdered and we walk around like it's okay. No! No! When my son was murdered, I remember asking my mother, where do I go from here? And I started an organization called Where Do We Go From Here? So I'm asking you here today, Where do we go from here? We stand together. No more dividing. At the end of the day, we all have lost our children, our loved ones, our grandparents, our brothers, our sisters, our friends. Every blood is red. In my neighborhood, there are no stores to buy guns. None. So there are illegal trafficking coming into our neighborhoods. And it must end. But the only way it's going to end, just like how it is here today, Jesus, look at us. Look at us. It takes us, not a few, us. So I ask you today, stand together as one. No one is better than the next one. Mass shootings is no different from our everyday shootings in our neighborhoods. And we gotta love one another. Turn around and say, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Because you don't know the next time you would hear it. Peace, love, and blessings.
And now Fred Gutenberg from Orange Ribbons for Gun Safety in Florida.
Hello, everybody. When I came here today, and Poe and I were talking about this, I was inspired to be here with all of you. Sadly, I did a detour this morning to the hearings on the assault weapon ban where one side of the solution chose not to show up. So, with that, I do want to tell you a little bit about me, and then I want to tell you what we're going to do about this problem. My daughter, I'm a father of 2 children. I will always be a father of 2 children. My son Jesse, I hang out with every day. He harasses me, he drives me nuts, and I love him madly. My daughter Jamie, I visit at the cemetery. Jamie was killed February 14th, Valentine's Day, at school. Now, all of the conversation around community and, it doesn't happen in this community, it only happens in this community. You see, we put an end to that bullshit because I live in Parkland. I live in the community where they say it doesn't happen, and it did. So you know what? I travel this country now to every community, reminding everybody, if we don't all step up and do something, we are all at risk of being shot. On the streets, in schools, in movie theaters, in restaurants, in churches, in temples, in malls, in Walmart. We're all at risk. So let's go to this morning. I heard them talk about assault weapons. Now, doing something about this is not a partisan conversation. The response is partisan. And what happened was, there were hearings this morning, as I think you all know. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party should have both been there. If you agree with it or you disagree with it, show up and talk about it. The Democratic side showed up. The Republican side, they just came in one by one to ask their question. Let me sum up their objection to an assault weapons ban. They need their AR-15 to shoot critters. That is ultimately what their position came down to this morning. My daughter, they talked about hunting. Nobody's stopping anybody from hunting, let's be clear. However, our children, our loved ones, my daughter, they were hunted. My daughter, in school, running down a hallway from an active shooter, and boom! A single shot severed her spinal cord. I will never know if my daughter suffered. I just know she was murdered. a single shot, AR-15, from across the hallway. That's hunting humans, and that's what we need to stop. So here's the deal. All of these gun lobby arguments, he could have used a knife. My daughter was number 36 of 37 to be shot. The knife would never make it there. It happened on the 3rd floor. They could have used a car. Nope. Again, happened on the 3rd floor. Enough of the BS, enough of the nonsense. Use your voices, fight back, speak up, and be loud. Now, with that, I have made it my life's mission to harass every single person who won't do the right thing about this. Last week, I was here in D.C., hanging out outside of a hearing room. My intention was to catch Leader McConnell. Actually, I don't call him leader. He doesn't deserve it. But to catch McConnell. Turns out McConnell wasn't in the room, but Senator Susan Collins was. And she came out. And so I approached her. And thankfully, it was caught on videotape because she did not want to talk to me. And she tried hard to not talk about what she wants to do about this problem. But when she said she supports Manchin Toomey, she did say that, and I said, "Will you get the chance to vote?" She turned her back on me and walked away. So I'm personally, I want to change the chant a little bit, and I want to get help from everybody all around. For me, do your job isn't strong enough. It's necessary, but not strong enough. For me, and I want everybody to say at the top of their lungs, we vote and we will fire you. 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 Folks, we are going to get this done. We are going to get legislation passed. We are going to start saving lives. And we are going to fire those who won't get it done with us. Have a wonderful day, and thank you.
And now, let me welcome to the stage the Chief Prosecutor from Cook County, that's Chicago, Illinois, who traveled here with many of you today, Kim Fox, the State's Attorney of Cook County.
Good afternoon. Right before I took the stage, I just hugged a mother who lost her son on Saturday. This is all too real. As a prosecutor, and more importantly, as a kid who grew up around violence in the projects at Cabrini, we cannot afford to take a moment of any day and not fight to eliminate these guns. I am so proud that our office took on the NRA just last month and beat back their attempts to outlaw our assault weapon ban in Chicago. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. And so for the thousands of victims of homicides that I've seen, the victims of suicide and senseless killings, I say to all of you who are here in their memory as their legacy, I thank you for holding us to account. You're right, we need to do our jobs, but we're accountable to all of you. And I want to say to all of you that your children, your fathers, your husbands, your wives, their memories are not in vain. We will be here every time we need to be here, near, far, south side of Chicago to the capital to the D.C., fighting on behalf of your loved ones. Thank you for your commitment, dedication, and you showing your purpose over your pain. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now let me call to the stage all the partners to read a poem about ending gun violence. Join the stage.
I want to just take a few minutes to thank all the organizations that sponsored this rally. Purpose Over Pain, Equality California, Where Do We Go From Here, Lincoln Park Presbyterian Church, National Council of Jewish Women, Connecticut Against Gun Violence, National Youth Art Movement Against Gun Violence, No RA, Newtown Action Alliance, Brady, Friends Who March, Gun Violence Prevention PAC, Coalition to Stop Gun Violence, Religious Action Center of Reformed Judaism, St. Mark's Episcopal Church, Capitol Hill, Reconstructionist Rabbinical Association, Vision Quilt, the Brave Youth Leaders of St. Sabina, Episcopal Peace Fellowship, Gun Violence Prevention Action Committee, Alliance for Justice, Amnesty International USA, Blue Future, Community of St. Digio USA, Congregation of Our Lady of the Good Shepherd, U.S. Province, Doctors for America, Equality California, Franciscan Action Network, Generation Progress, Giffords, Gun Safety Alliance, Gun Sense Vermont, Illinois Muslim Civic Coalition. Thank you to all.
Greetings, everyone. I'm from Lincoln Park Presbyterian Church in Chicago. Here's the poem. Senate, you are accountable on the way. Children dying is not okay. Choose this day. Serve the people or the NRA.
With the National Council of Jewish Women, Kavod Habriot, respect and dignity for all human beings. If we don't care for and protect our neighbors from gun violence, who will?
I'm Lisa with the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence, and we deserve to live in America where gun violence is rare and abnormal.
From St. Mark's Episcopal Church, we are convicted to stop this insanity, to honor with action, and to change gun culture in the U.S.
I'm Valerie Plumpus with Equality California. America's gun culture is killing us. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, our people are calling on you to act and to respond.
I'm Tiana Lofton with the Brave Youth Leaders of St. Sabina. When will this nation stand up and realize that everyday shootings are everyday problems?
Hey y'all, my name is Rihanna Holman and I'm with the Brave Youth Leaders, but today I'll be reading for Gun Violence Prevention Pact. There may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest it.
My name is Catherine, and I'm here on behalf of the Religious Action Center of Reformed Judaism. And I'm here to say that we are commanded to pursue tzedek, to pursue justice, and to speak truth to power on behalf of every single victim of gun violence.
I'm Dorian Karp from Jewish Women International. Their voices call to us. Hear our cries. We are children. You, who are to protect us, must speak, and yet you are silent.
Hello, Melissa Kane from Connecticut Against Gun Violence. If we don't lead, who will? We are going to honor the children who are murdered in their schools, in their homes, and on the streets where we live by fighting until every single child is safe from gun violence. Thank you.
I'm Janice Tisha Samuels, and I'm with the National Youth Art Movement Against Gun Violence. Isn't it a crime that shootings have become so regular in this country that we've dubbed their happenings as everyday violence? That mass shootings have become summer weekend pastimes, Gilroy, California, Dayton, Ohio, El Paso, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And yet everyday people, the victims and their families, can't get justice, just the same old party line that says now is not the time for background checks, even if 98% of us want them, or an assault weapons ban, even if 100% of us can no longer pretend that we aren't living in fear until some changes happen here.
I'm Jackie Lynn with Episcopal Peace Fellowship. With God's help, we will strive for peace and justice and respect the dignity of every person.
On behalf of the Reconstructionist Rabbinical Association,
We cannot stand idly by, we cannot accept these stumbling blocks, and we cannot abide the destruction of one human being, created in the image of the Divine one moment longer.
Annette Nance hold purpose over pain. Although they are no longer here, our children will not ever be silenced. Their voices never will be silenced. Their voices will be heard through us, their parents, as we live our purpose through our pain.
And now to help us wrap up, let me call to the stage both Pastor Deloitte Golston from the Peace Fellowship Church. Pastor, are you with us? Pastor Delante Golston, I'm so sorry, Delante. Here he is. Let me call him to the stage to help us wrap up, and then we will hear once again from Father Pfleger. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Pastor Delante Golston. I pastor Peace Fellowship Church, and we lead a small effort of about 20 churches here in D.C. to do peace walks in our community. I stand before you as a native of Washington, D.C. My father was shot in this city. My nephew, Alonzo, was shot 5 times this past November in this city. He survived, thank God, but as one of the mothers earlier said, even when we survive, we still are dealing with trauma. And the word of the Lord says in the book of Jeremiah in the 8th chapter, it says that you declare peace, but there is no peace. He says, how long do I have to shout violence in the streets? And then he says, you treat my wounds as though they were not serious. I just want to say to Mitch McConnell, I want to say to the Republicans in the Senate, you treat my wounds as though they were not serious. But how many of you understand that deep wounds require deep healing? Yes. Say that deep wounds, need deep healing. Say that one more time. Say deep wounds, need deep healing. Now get it in your spirit and say deep wounds, need deep healing. Beloved, once H.R. 8 is passed in the Senate, we still have work to do. Once the assault weapons ban is passed, we still have work to do. Because in communities like mine in D.C., we have strong gun laws. But beloved, we have to deal with the social determinants of gun violence. We have to deal with the fact that we are a people that have been oppressed for 400 years in this country. Being told that we are ugly, being told that we aren't beautiful, being told that we have no value. And so when we look at each other in the mirror, all we can see is the internalized racism to oppress one another. Deep wounds require deep healing. And so when we go into our communities, beloved, we go as loved ones, as neighbors, as friends, and yes, as pastors to say that you are beautiful. You are made in the image of Almighty God. You have value. You have worth. And we connect you to the love and to the resources that our communities need. Once the legislation is passed and there are still guns being traded and trafficked into our communities illegally, we still have work to do. I just left a scene before driving down here of another shooting in my community. Deep wounds require deep healing. So, beloved, I want you to look at the person next to you, to your left and to your right, because we each have work to do. And encourage them and tell your neighbor, deep wounds need deep healing. I'm depending on you, but there's work to do. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend. And now welcome back to the stage to Father Michael Pfleger.
Listen, we're going to have a closing action. I'm going to ask everybody that's sitting down on the sides to come back out here in the center for a minute. We're going to have a closing action. Everybody sitting on the sides, if you would please come to the center. On both sides, would you please come over to the center? Everybody that can walk. Please come over to the center. I'm going to give you a second to get here. And I'm going to ask you to space out just a little bit. Because here's what we're going to do in a minute. At the count of 3, I'm going to ask everybody, we're going to have a die-in. I'm asking you to lay down on the ground to represent all the bodies that are laid down in America. And if you have a picture of your loved one, I want you to lay it on top of you when you lay down. But everybody, come on over. We're going to give you time to get here. We need everybody here. All the sides, space out a little bit, give yourself space. We're going to all do it at the same time on the count of 3 after everybody gets here. And the time while we'll be laying down, the song will be sung by Talia, Amazing Grace, in honor and in memory of all of our loved ones. So don't lay down yet. Don't lay down yet. Wait, we're going to do it together. Everybody come quickly. Come quickly. Come quickly. That's all right. We're going to be down for a minute. You'll have time. Everybody come quickly. At the count of 3, I'm going to ask everyone slowly and carefully to lay down on the ground, and if you have a picture of a loved one, lay it on top of you while Amazing Grace is sung. Together, 1, 2, 3.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Praise God, praise God, praise God, praise God, praise God, praise God, praise God. I was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, oh Lord, I was blind. I was blind, but now I see.
One at a time.
And now, we'll have a closing musical number from Gays Against Guns. All right, here they are, Gays Against Guns.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brendan Wright, and I'm here this afternoon with some of my fellow activists representing Gays Against Guns and our sister organization singing songs of resistance, Sing Out Louise. We are thrilled to be with you here today, participating in the national rally to end gun violence. First and foremost, thank you to all of our organizers for having us today, and of course, all of you with us here today, making your presence known and your voices heard to help commit yourselves and our nation to ending gun violence. As we know all too well, gun violence in our nation has reached epidemic proportions and is nothing short of a public health crisis. While we see the endless cycles of mass shootings followed by outcries for action and are ultimately met with calls for thoughts and prayers and little to no actual action, we must bring attention to the everyday impact gun violence has on our communities, as nearly 100 people are killed each day as a result of gun violence in the United States. In its inception, Gays Against Guns was established following the Pulse nightclub massacre in June of 2016. This attack was not only focused on a predominantly LGBTQ space, but also particularly impacted queer people of color. As such, we not only focus on gun violence prevention broadly, but strive to bring further attention to the ways in which gun violence impacts the LGBTQ community, including those often on the margins of our societies who experience all different disparities due to intersections of identity, especially trans people and Black trans women of color, who are all too often also victims of gun violence across our nation. Of the 18 to 19 victims of violence this year who have been murdered within the transgender community, as reported by the media, 12 of these were trans women of color that have been predominantly killed through gun violence. As such, is it important to bring the attention to the intersection of gun violence and its unique impact on queer communities. And with that, I would like to also hand it off to Mary Ellen, who will guide us in our sing-along with Sing Out Louise.
Hi everyone, so you should all have one of these hymnals. If you want to join us, it's number 3. It's number 3. Hi everyone, if you wanted to join us, grab a hymnal that was distributed recently and then sing number 3 with us, God Help America. God help America. What have you done? Stand beside us and guide us through the mess and distress you've begun. With your bigots and your gun nuts, every greedy billionaire. God help America through this nightmare. Come on, America, stand up to hate. Don't divide us, unite us. You can break us to make us more great. Tell the bigots and the gun nuts, every greedy billionaire. Let's make America more free and fair. God help America through this By popular demand, we're going to go with number 18. You all should know this. It's a Beatles song. We want to take your gun. Oh yeah, we'll tell you something. We got you on the run. If you are an abuser, we want to take your gun. We want to take your gun. We want to take your gun. Oh, please, say to me. take your gun. We're gonna take your gun.
This is the end, okay?
We're gonna take your gun.
Gays Against Guns.
Please join us Tuesday night, 6:30 Eastern Time on WBAI for Radio Gag. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you leave, if you just do pick out your phones and please put this number in your phones. Wherever you're at, please take out your phones and put this number in your phone. It's the number of Mitch McConnell's office. And we want you to continue to call it often, every day, and tell him to do his job. The number is 202-224-2541. 202-224-2541. 202-224-2541. Keep calling it every day. Tell Mitch to do his job or quit his job. Thank you all for coming. God bless you. All those on the St. Sabina buses, you got to meet back where we got off the bus at 6:15. 6:15 back there to get your box lunches for going back in that wonderful, luxurious ride for 12 hours back to Chicago.